Hello and welcome to another episode of Game Theory, the #1 DraftKings prep show in the land. I am your host Monk, aka the Monkmatician, and in this very episode, I will be breaking down all of the most pertinent DraftKings information so you can stack those lineups and take home those wins. And this one's going to be for UFC Vegas 45, headlined by Derrick Lewis and Chris Daukaus. So without further ado, guys, let's get right into it. First fight of the night. Out of 14 fights, Leavitt going against Matt Sayles. Leavitt, 8,200. Sayles, 88,000, I should say. Closest fight on DraftKings as far as odds go. Let's see here. Leavitt, only 2 fights. Matt Sayles, only 3 fights, and it's been over 2 years since he fought, so I'm not going to have a ton to say about this one. Leavitt, 4.06 raw DraftKings points per minute. That is DraftKings points without bonus points included. So pretty much the work rate here, 4.06 per minute, very good. He gives up 3.66, also pretty high. Average salary 9,100. So he is coming in a bit under that, at 900 under that actually. Average value is very good, 9.75. Scored 57 points in his loss. 4th highest ceiling, highest floor. Let's see, Matt Sayles averages 2.49 raw DraftKings points per minute. That is 17th highest on the card. Gives up 2.35. Coming in $500 under his average salary. He does score 91 points per win. That is just one win in the UFC. Gives up only 84 in his losses. Leavitt giving up only 86 in his losses. So both of these guys not allowing a ton of points in their 3 total losses. And those numbers are pretty much the same there. Leavitt, graph off the charts for bonus points. In his one win, he did get the quick win bonus of 115 points. So the numbers up here somewhere, literally off the charts. And then Matt Sayles averages 60 points of 60 bonus points given up in losses. So not a ton, only 1 win each. So our stats are kind of skewed there. As far as rankings go, I'll discuss them real quick. These rankings, don't pay much attention to them. They are not gospel. It's just kind of at a glance, who's better where, maybe. So it's just kind of for me while I go through and talk about this. The rankings, I used to rank everyone in their division, but that doesn't make much sense when we're talking about DraftKings. There's only 28, in this case, possible fighters, 14 fights. So now all the rankings are based on the fighters on the card. It makes much more sense that way. 6 fighters are not ranked. So 6 out of 28 fighters are going to be not ranked. Leavitt is one of them. That's why he has all these NRs. Whoops, there's my cursor. That's why he has all these NRs sitting here. Just means not ranked. He has less than 3 fights. So we are not counting that yet. Got to get that consistency. And then strength of schedule. Let's see here. Matt Sayles is actually killing that department over Leavitt. 70, I mean, we're at 70, 75 here. Those are great numbers. 85 strength of defeat. Leavitt is much lower on those. And there's how those that fight history in the UFC breaks down. And raw DraftKings points per minute. Leavitt trending up, what you want to see, and he's currently above his opponent. And same with Matt Sayles, also trending up. Opponents are trending up at a higher rate. However, he did fight Bryce Mitchell. That probably has a lot to do with it. And then our projections. This is what I'm sure you want to see. Here's what I think is going to happen. You pick what's going to happen, and here's how I think that is going to score. So some pretty low projections for the most part here. And then lastly, DraftKings visual recap and aggregate career finish percentages. Lot more real estate in winning stats for Leavitt than Sayles, but again, we only have 2. These are based on 2 fights total, so not much to look at there. Percent of finishes in wins, very high in the UFC. How come you can't see my cursor again? Very high in the UFC, 100%, and then 81 overall in their career. Not many finishes in losses. So that is going to be that one. I'll show my picks at the end. I don't even remember how I'm leaning. I'm probably leaning Sayles just based on, fuck it, it's the end of the year. I'm picking dogs. Is that the right dog to pick? Probably not. Leavitt will probably win. I'm not a fan of that fight. But yeah, probably a decision. I don't know, actually. Maybe not. Anyways, I'm rambling. Whoops, I don't know why I typed that. Little sneak peek at Stephen Thompson's stats there. All right, next fight. Josh Parisian. Wow, I cannot speak. Josh Parisian going against Don'Tale Mayes. Heavyweight fight. Parisian, 7,600. Mays, 8,600. Parisian, raw DraftKings points per minute, 3.23. Gives up a whopping 4.85 per minute. That is a huge, huge number. Big negative differential there. Averages only 78.69 points in his win. That is only one win, though. Again, guys with not many fights here. And he gave up 106 in his loss. Has a very low ceiling. Coming in $1,200 lower than his average salary, though. And an okay value at 7. Don'Tale Mayes, raw DraftKings points per minute, 1.85. That is 21 out of 22 ranked fighters on this card. So towards the very, very bottom. Spoiler alert, Derrick Lewis is that 22nd fighter. Again, a huge raw DraftKings points differential here. So these guys just get beat up. I mean, or outworked, I should say. They're getting outworked, which I guess in the fight game you could call beat up. DraftKings points per win for Don'Tale Mayes, 67. That is last on the card. 106 given up in his loss. I mean, and he's $500 more expensive than his average salary. Probably leaning Don'Tale Mayes by knockout here, but this could also go the distance and just be an extremely sloppy fight with two guys about to fall over in the third round. So who the hell knows? You got to have part of Parisian. You got to have part of Mayes just for the knockout. I mean, there's 14 knockouts between them. You got to have a little bit of each of them. But honestly, I kind of think this one goes the distance and it's a sloppy fight. And neither guy, whoever wins, is not going to score very well. I mean, these numbers are not great. These are two heavyweights, 30 points average when they win for bonus. I mean, that's decision points is what that is. Don'Tale Mayes, and just at a glance, he's towards the bottom of the card in every category. Like I said, do I think he's the worst fighter on the card? No, Harry Hunsucker is fighting, but he is not performing well, we'll say, in his 3 fights. Strength of schedule for Josh Parisian is terrible. He is 4-1, but that's because he's fighting nobody. Don'Tale Mayes is actually fighting decent competition. In fact, his strength of defeat in the UFC, Rodrigo Nascimento, who has 1 loss, and some guy named Cyril Gane. Oh yeah, he's the heavyweight champ. Undefeated also. So strength of defeat, very good there. And both guys beat Rock Martinez. What are you going to do? I mean, who doesn't? DraftKings points per minute, getting outworked. Both guys, I mean, and their opponents trending way higher. Here are the projections. Whatever you think is going to happen, I tend to lean more towards this right here, Josh Parisian by decision. That's what I'm leaning on. I mean, these graphs are this graph is terrible here. And these guys for heavyweights, their decision, I mean, look at this. Outside or in their career, 77% of wins have end by finish, 62.5% of losses. Inside the UFC, they've never won by finish, and I guess their losses, they have been finished in losses. So I guess I don't know what I was talking about. But yeah, I'm leaning Parisian by decision on this one. Next fight, Macy Chiasson. How did I spell it wrong? I must have. See the monk petition make an error. This is what happens to my spread. This is how you know it's live. You get all the errors, baby. There's no tricks of the trade going on here. All right, Chiasson going against Raquel Pennington. 7,800 for Chiasson, 8,400 for Pennington. Chiasson averages 6th highest raw RDKP per minute at almost 3.99. Gives up about half that, 2.05, 5th best on the card for a raw DraftKings point per minute differential of 1.94. She's also coming in almost $1,200 below her average salary, and she's averaging the 4th highest value on the card. And she's got 6 fights, so that's not a ton, but it's not like 3. You know what I mean? So averaging 101.54 DraftKings points per win. That's 5 wins. That's a great number. 7th highest. Gives up only 67.95 when she loses. I mean, there's a lot of good numbers here for Macy Chiasson historically. Pennington on the other side, not a great score. When she wins, 82.5 points. When she loses, she only gives up 75.5. So that should bring Chiasson's number down a little bit. You know, she has a positive differential, but it's nothing to brag about. 2.6 per minute scored, and she is 600 almost, or 500, I should say, over her average salary, and her average value is below Macy Chiasson. So here's how they score by method and win-loss data when Chiasson gets a knockout, 110.86. When she gets a sub, 102. And even a pretty high score when she gets a decision win, 91.92 points. That's very good for decision wins. Third highest average on the card. And like I said, when she loses, she only gives up 68 points. Pennington never had a knockout win. 104.3 when she wins by sub. And only 80 points when she wins by decision. She gives up less than 70 on average, almost about 65 on average in decisions. And when she gets knocked out, it's a huge number, 118 points for her opponent. Chiasson scoring very well, 80% of her wins over 90, 80% over 100, and 40% over 110. She's never even given up 90 points in a loss. Pennington has scored over 100 in just 2 fights out of 9, 2 wins out of 9. 22%, never scored over 110, and she has given up 110 just once. Given up over 90, I should say, just one time. So neither one of these girls' opponents score very well when they beat them. When their opponents win, I should say. I'm very confused this morning, I guess. Chiasson, 58 points. Bonus points average per win. That is pretty good. Only giving up 30 in her 1 loss. Pennington, 5 losses, only giving up 32 points. So she's going to decision. She's losing some of those decisions, but she's not getting finished. She's only been finished twice in her whole career out of 20 fights. Chiasson, never been finished. Only 8 fights, but still. And Chiasson, a little better everywhere just from looks of it, from just basic stats. Except for takedown, they're pretty even there. But striking, she does have the striking edge. But Pennington has the better striking defense. She does get hit with more punches, however. So take that with what you want. Chiasson gets hit with only 2.17 significant strikes per minute. Has very, okay takedown defense. They're about the same. 65%, a little under. Macy controlling most of the grappling time. Pennington has the much better strength of schedule. Chiasson's strength of schedule is trash. Absolute garbage. Not even above 50 in most of these, or not even above 60, I should say, in most of these categories. But she is whooping people's asses in the last 5. Striking differential over 2. Come on now. Control time differentials 14%. Reversals looking good. Work rate here. Raw DraftKings points per minute, 1.8 differential. Power index, 0 chindex. Very, very good numbers. Here's how those last 5 line up. Any comment opponents? Marion Renault, they both beat by decision. That's about it. Raw DraftKings points per minute. Chiasson, well above her opponents, but trending down. And then Pennington is the opposite. Well, she's right barely above her opponent and then trending up. Here are my projections. I believe I'm picking Chiasson by decision. Because you're not knocking Pennington out. So yeah, I must have picked Macy by decision. So not a very high projection here. But look at this real estate. Much, much higher than Raquel Pennington. She's a veteran though. So anything could happen. And she's only a few years older than Chiasson. Very low finish percentages in the career and in their UFC career. So Macy by decision is how I see that one. Next fight. Charles Air Jourdain going against Andre Ewell. What do we got here? Let's see. I don't even know. Oh, I took the thing out. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Sorry, I'm just talking to myself. Charles Jourdain, 8,900. What do you get for that 8,900? 3.09 raw DraftKings points per minute, 11th out of 26 fighters, or 28 fighters on the card. He has a negative raw DraftKings points per minute differential. When he wins, 2 wins, averages 117.77 points, second highest on the card. When he loses, he gives up 88, so not too bad. Has a pretty high ceiling and a decent floor here. Average value, or actually I should say he's coming in about $800 over his average salary. And his average value is only 7.61. That is 16th highest on the card. Mr. Ewell, 7,300 salary. And you get a negative raw DraftKings points differential of almost 1. You do get him $600 cheaper than he usually is, but his average value is only 5.5. He is a 50-50, or 50-50. Why did I say that? Well, he's 4-4 in the UFC. Probably needs this win. Nah, he'll probably get another fight if he loses. I guess I don't know anything about his contract, but I don't see them cutting him yet. But in his 4 wins, only 67.8 DraftKings points on average. When he loses, he gives up 92.67, has one of the lowest ceilings on the entire card, second lowest, of 75.89. Very low floor. Yeah, not looking great for Mr. Ewell historically. When he wins by decision, he doesn't even score 60 points. When he wins by split decision, it's 70 points. I mean, when he loses by sub, 126, he got knocked out and he only gave up 84 points. So he's not really giving up a ton of points, but Jourdain is going to do his best to take those points from him. 100% of his wins, I know it's only 2, but both of them have scored over 110 points. Mr. Ewell has given up 110 in 1 of his 4 losses, never scored over 90 points in a win. So definitely don't take Charles Ewell. I mean, Jourdain's never been knocked out. He's been subbed once. So I don't see, Ewell's path to victory is probably a decision. But how is he going to do that? So just fade Andre Ewell. Obviously, I don't really have to tell you that, but I'm telling you that. Jourdain averages 57.5 bonus points. Ewell gives up 47.5. Let's see. Ewell does have a decent takedown accuracy, second highest on the card, and the 12th highest takedown defense at over 70%, so pretty good. Meanwhile, Jourdain, 50% takedown defense, not what you're looking for. Ewell gets hit with 4.3 strikes a minute, while Jourdain is landing over 5. Strength of schedule is actually very, very close. Pretty even. Last 5 fights, Jourdain is winning the ass whooping index, the power index, not the chindex though. He did get knocked down by, who is that? Erosa, and then twice by He's been knocked down in 4 of his last 5 fights. Oh my goodness. The one he didn't get knocked down in was Josh Coulibaugh, and he knocked him down. So there's been a knockout in all 5 of Charles Jourdain's last 5 fights. Insane. He's scoring well. He's scoring decent in his 2 wins. Yeah, 117 we said. Meanwhile, Ewell, 2-3 in his last 5 with losses to Arce, Gutierrez, and Vera. I mean, those are high-level guys, honestly, I think. I mean, Vera is the highest level of them all. Gutierrez could be there eventually. And then Jourdain, pretty even keel as far as his scoring. So that's right what you can expect, probably about 3.17 points per minute. And then Ewell, opponents well above him, and he is trending down. Here are my projections. I'm picking Jourdain. I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember. We'll have to look at the end when I show you my picks. Look at all this real estate here. And here's what the numbers that correlate to this graph. These are all winning statistics because that's what we want to know. We don't care about losses in DraftKings. We care about how many points your opponents score when you lose, but that's it. Otherwise, we just want winning statistics. And here are the finish rates. Not very high in the UFC and a little bit higher in their total career. So we'll have to look at the end to see what I picked, but I'm definitely picking Jourdain to win. I just don't remember how. Next fight. Melissa Gatto going against Sijara Eubanks. 1 fight for Gatto, so we won't talk about it too much. She is 7,500. In her 1 fight, she did score a huge number, 116.5. That's 4.65 RDKP per minute. She is $900 cheaper than, or 900. Wow, I cannot do math. $1,300 cheaper than she was in her last fight. Huge value there. She only gave up, oh, never mind, 3.48 per minute. I was looking at the wrong number. Eubanks on the other side, pretty expensive. 8,700. Let's check out why. She gets you 3.47 raw DraftKings points per minute. That is 9th highest. Only gives up 2.3. That's over 1 differential. She is $300 more expensive than her average salary. Her average value is top 10, though. 8.47. Pretty decent. DraftKings points per win, 13th highest on the card. 95.09. So that is a bit lower than you would want to see. But it's a bit higher than it could be as well. And she only gives up 75.8 points per loss. That is the 5th best number on the card. Average ceiling, pretty good floor. When Sijara wins by knockout, 113.43. When she wins by decision, 90.51, 5th best on the card. That's fantastic. So she is a decent scorer when she wins. When she loses, only ever lost by decision in the UFC, and outside the UFC, never been finished. Gives up only 75.86. So not too many points there. Gatto, huge number in her one fight, so we see that. Eubanks, out of 5 wins, she's put up over 90 3 times, over 100 twice, and over 110 once, and she's never given up anything over 90 points. Fantastic. That's what you want to see from a fighter. So, again, Melissa Gatto, second round finish there, so she got her 70 bonus points. Scored a ton of striking points in less than the completion of 2 rounds. 30. Eubanks averages 42 bonus points, only 30 given up when she loses. And here are some stats. Gatto, obviously, not 3 fights yet, so she is not ranked in any categories on the left side. While Eubanks, a little bit better than average pretty much everywhere. Takedown defense is okay. 1.94 takedowns landed per minute, so strength of schedule, not good for Melissa Gatto. Not good at all. She is 4-0-1 in her last 5, but she is not fighting anyone with any kind of record. Sijara Eubanks, much better strength of schedule, but still not the best. A couple of categories under 70. You want to be in the 70s. Here's how their last 5 fights break down. Let me slide to the right. Or I guess your left. Slide to your left. That's how those break down here. And I actually just put the odds in as well for the fight because I'm tracking all that shit now. So the more information, the better. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Love it. So she lost to Miss Pani Kianzad as a favorite, but that was her last loss. Smashed Elise Reed, if you remember, as she should have. Anyways. Raw DraftKings points, only 1 fight, doesn't matter on the left. Eubanks, pretty even keel. Well over her opponent as far as DraftKings points per minute scoring, and she is trending up, while her opponent actually, I think, is trending down ever so slightly. I picked the upset here, Gatto, by decision. That's what I think. We'll see. I mean, young female fighters have done very well for themselves as of late, and we have a huge age difference here. Almost 11 years. Almost 11 years apart. I mean, Sarge is not old. I'm not saying that. But Gatto, I mean, she's not Erin Blanchfield, 22 years old, but she's not even 26 yet. And Sarge is going to be 37 next year. Here is the graph you're looking for. But again, Gatto, only 1 fight. And these are very inflated because she got a finish win. So Sarge, not a great number. You want this finish win percent to be much higher. That's what you want for DraftKings. You have to, not have to, but most of the time, if you're making optimal lineup, you'd like to have a finish win. And then the finishes in wins and losses here, not very good. So again, I'm picking Gatto by decision. No fights really blowing the doors off the place as of yet. And right as I say that, I type Justin Tafa's name. In fact, his nickname, the Bad Man. I was going to say the baddest man on the planet, Justin Tafa. Everyone fucking knows it. Harry Hunsucker's at home shaking in his goddamn boots. He's like, God, can I just fight, Cyril Gane or Francis Ngannou instead? I have to fight Justin Tafa? Fuck me. Anyways, heavyweight fight. Tafa showing why he's a bad man. $9,400. DraftKings thinks he's a bad man as well. What do you get for $9,400 with 1-3 Justin Tafa in the UFC? All facetiousness aside. 2.72 DraftKings points per minute, average. 2.94 given up per minute, average. Negative differential. He is $1,200 more than his average salary. His average value, 5.56. In his 1 win, he scored over 100. When he loses, he only gives up 82.5. So those are decent numbers. Harry Hunsucker, what do we get for $6,800? 1 fight, less than 1 DraftKings points per minute. Gave up almost 20. He did get finished in less than a minute, so that's why his numbers are very inflated here. Yeah, we don't even have to go into that. This fight is not going to last long. If it goes to decision, that could be more shocking than Pena beating Nunes. Honestly, could be. I'm picking Justin Tafa. Harry Hunsucker is terrible. Justin Tafa is also terrible. I just think he's a little less terrible than Hunsucker is. I'm picking Tafa. I don't think this gets out of the first round. In fact, I don't think this gets past the first minute. I'm picking Tafa by first round knockout under a minute for that quick win bonus. So I'm having Tafa in a bunch of lineups. I could show you his numbers, or you could just look at them while I talk shit about both these guys. Hunsucker's been finished in the first round, I think 4 times, all by knockout. Tafa's one fight ended, or his one win ended in the first round, knockout. So yeah, this is, and also Tafa's terrible. So if he gets caught, if Hunsucker just throws something at him, he could easily go down. I mean, who knows? This guy got knocked out by, who? Yeah, Yorgan De Castro. So that guy's not even in the fucking UFC. Is he? Maybe he's not. I don't want to say that. A lot of shitty heavyweights have been let go lately. So I'm just going to keep talking shit while you scroll through. I mean, look at this. Decision win projection. 169. That's inflated because of Harry Hunsucker's terrible numbers. Yeah, so for the one time on this card in this video, I'm going to say ignore the projections from Justin Tafa. If you think he's going to win, put him in your lineups, because he's going to score over 120 points, because it's going to be a first round knockout. If you don't think he's going to win, put Hunsucker in a couple, but honestly, there's like 0 chance this goes to decision. I mean, there's a chance it goes to decision, but not very much. Let's go on to the next one now that I've ranted about that for long enough. Yoni Barcelos going against UFC newcomer Victor Henry. I have no numbers for Henry. He is $6,900. Second cheapest fighter on the card, or third cheapest? Third cheapest. Yeah, that's it. Barcelos, in 6 UFC fights, is raw DraftKings points per minute 4. 5th highest on the card. Very good. Only gives up 2.15 per minute. Also very good. Huge differential. He is $500 more expensive than usual, but you're getting a huge average value for that. The 3rd best value on the card for the 3rd highest salary. So hey, it kind of evens out. 98.89 DraftKings points per win. That number is low for what you are paying. So you're hoping this ends early if you're picking Barcelos. Only gives up 62 points in a loss. High ceiling, decently high floor. Or very high floor, I should say. And in fact, we don't even have to look at Henry. When Barcelos wins by knockout, 111 points. When he wins by sub, 113. When he wins by decision, 10th highest number on the card, just under 80. He has scored over 90 in 80% of his wins, and over 110 in 60% of his wins. Never given up over 90. So pretty consistent there. I mean, great numbers here. Mid-20s for stand-up, grappling, and then almost 50 for bonus points. Doesn't give up anything for points when he loses. I mean, relevant fight stats, yeah, these are all green because Henry doesn't have any, but these are mostly top 10 numbers, top 5 numbers. I mean, these are great. Great numbers here from Barcelos. And then you say, oh, what about his strength of schedule? Well, why don't you take a look, bud? 80%, we're 77 here, 77 strength of victory, 90 strength of defeat. That could be the best strength of schedule on the card this week. Could be. Overall, just saying. He lost to Timur Valiev. That is nothing to whine about. That dude is a damn good fighter, it seems like. I'm excited to watch more of him. That was a great fight to watch. And a pretty close fight, if memory serves me correctly. Yeah, majority decision. Had to be very close. Taha, Nurmagomedov, Joaquin, Gutierrez, all wins, and not even really close wins. Just beating the brakes off him, with the exception of Nurmagomedov. He's put up almost over 100 in all of these fights. DraftKings points per minute, like we said, almost doubling up his opponent, trending down, but not at a very steep rate at all. Here are my projections. Yeah, I don't know anything about Henry. He's never been finished. He has 8 submission wins, 6 knockout wins as well. So yeah, is Barcelos going to finish him? He's got 10 finishes out of 18 fights. I don't know. There's my projections. We'll have to get to the end to see what I picked. Huge real estate for Barcelos. And I probably picked this one to go to decision. Anyways, Next fight. Let's see if I can spell. Nailed it. Gerald Meerschaert, GM3, going against Dustin Stoltzfus. We're at half an hour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Perfect. Meerschaert, 9,000. 3.51 raw DraftKings points per minute. That it's 8th highest on the card. Gives up 3.18. Has a positive differential. We are paying for Meerschaert after that performance last time. Up 1,250 from his average fight salary. We get a decent value, though, 8.45 on average. That's 10th highest on the card. You get 98.86 DraftKings points per win. Could be higher. He gives up 97.4. Average ceiling, low floor. Meerschaert is pretty much sub or bust in all of his fights. So that's what we are looking at. Stoltzfus has been subbed once in his 16-fight pro career. He is $7,200. Scores 2.58 DraftKings points per minute in his 2 fights, 2 losses. Has a negative differential. He is cheaper than his average salary. His average value is trash. No wins. Gives up 87.5 points when he loses. So that's not a bad number. It's not a high number at all. When Meerschaert wins by knockout, 101.86. When he wins by sub, less than 100, 98.43. Huge numbers when he loses by finish. Wow, he's never had a decision win in the UFC. He's never had a decision win. Interesting. Stoltzfus never had a win. 84 points in a sub, loss, and 91 in a decision. Let's see. Meerschaert has scored in 8 wins. 7 of them have been over 90. 4 of them over 100, and 1 of them over 110. So he can score pretty well. Like I said, sub or bust for the most part. He's given up points, though. Out of 6 losses, 4 of them over 90, 3 over 100, and 3 over 110. Stoltzfus has given up 90 just once. Meerschaert averages 71 bonus points per win, gives up 70 per loss. My God. And then, average fighter on the card for the most part. Average numbers. Takedown defense is terrible, but he probably wants to be on the ground. Strength of schedule is where it really gets different. For Meerschaert, much higher than Dustin Stoltzfus, with the exception of strength of defeat. And here's how the fight history breaks down. Meerschaert losing to Chimaev and Ian Heinisch in his last 5. Huge win over Muradov, plus 450 in that one. He was even wider than he was against Gamrot. DraftKings points right with his opponents, and his opponents are trending down. And then Stoltzfus under his opponents as well, while his opponents trend way up. Here are my projections. I probably picked Meerschaert. I probably picked Meerschaert by submission. And yeah, finish win percent for Meerschaert, 100% in the UFC. When Meerschaert wins, it's a finish. So if you think he's going to win, put him in your lineups, people. Well, how much is he? $9,000? Put him in your lineups for the most part. For the most part. What am I saying? I'll have him in like 25, 30, 20 to 25. I don't want to get too crazy. I said some crazy shit last week. I'm going to have him in 70% of my lineups. Not Nunes. I did not have her in a ton of lineups. I do not put the highest salaried person in a ton of lineups ever, for the most part. Unless his name is Max Holloway. Anyways, Cub Swanson going against Darren Elkins. Swanson, $8,800. 2.9. I mean, we're getting mediocre numbers from Swanson here. 2.93 points per minute, 94.37 when he wins, gives up 98 when he loses. I mean, he's $800 over his average salary, and his average value is only 8.08. Darren Elkins on the other side, a much better DraftKings play. 7,400. I mean, I'm not saying that means he's going to win. It's a much better DraftKings play. $7,400. 7th highest raw DraftKings points per minute on the card, 3.88. Huge positive differential. He is $500 cheaper than his usual salary, or his average salary. And look at that value, almost 10. The 5th highest value on the card for $7,400. He averages over 101 points per win, gives up only 90 when he loses. 3rd highest ceiling on the card for Darren Elkins. I mean, look at these points when he wins. 108 when he wins by knockout. 108.5 when he wins by sub. 101 when he wins by decision. Over 85 when he wins by split decision. You guys, when Darren Elkins wins, he is scoring points. And when Cub Swanson loses, he's given up points. Not in decisions per se, but knockouts and submissions. Cub's doing okay when he wins by knockout, 102. 88 when he wins by decision is a pretty good number. 58% of Cubs wins, he scored over 90. 33% over 100 and 25% over 110. He's given up over 90 in 50% of the fights, over 110 in 25% of his losses. Elkins scores over 90 in 62.5% of the time, over 100 in 50%, and over 110 in 37.5%. Gives up points less, I guess I shouldn't say that. His opponents score over 110 only once out of 8 times. That's what I was trying to say. So he does score pretty well when he wins, and I mean, this is a 37-year-old guy going up against a 38-year-old guy. Who knows what could happen? I mean, we're pretty even as far as how they score. Cub with much more striking points, Elkins many more grappling points, as you would expect, but everything else as far as bonuses is pretty even. I mean, there are some stats to take a look at. Obviously, Elkins with the grappling stats, Cub with most of the striking stats. Strength of schedule, pretty close. Pretty close for the most part. And then last 5, both guys are 2 and 3 in their last 5. Cub with the much better striking differential, but Elkins takedown differential, control time differential, and then ass whoop index, 6 to negative 0.87. Power index goes to Cub, but the chin, both guys' chins are suspect, actually, in the last 5. Pretty much the same. Cub coming off a loss to Chikadze, and he lost to Shane Burgos and Renato Moicano in his last 5. You know, nothing to get crazy about. He's been an underdog in all 5 of those fights. Meanwhile, Elkins lost as a favorite to Ryan Hall and Nate Landwehr, but just came off a underdog win against Derek Minner. So I'm picking Elkins to win this by decision, and I think he scores pretty well. Here are the DraftKings points. Swanson, underperforming compared to his opponents while they trend up, but Elkins still trending up. 37 years old, trending way up, doing, he is actually, yeah, he's way above his opponents here. Outworking them, even in his, 37-year-old's age. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying anymore. This fight's so good, it's I can only focus on that. It's killing the rest of my brain. Anyways, real estate here. Elkins with the better real estate almost everywhere except for distance striking and finish win. They're pretty equal there. But other than that, Elkins kind of has the edge everywhere. Not expecting this to end by finish, I don't think. I'll have to check the end. But I like Darren Elkins here. Cub's going to win the first round for sure. Elkins not going to get finished probably, and if you don't finish Elkins early, he probably won fights in the second and third round more than anybody else in the UFC at this point. Sorry, I have to focus to type this name. There we go. I'm going to call him Mateus, just because I can't pronounce it, I'm sure. Mateus Gamrot going against Diego Ferreira. How's that? Mateus, 8,500, 4.44 DraftKings points per minute. He only has 3 fights in the UFC, but he is ranked here. And let me tell you, his numbers look great. Huge differential. Only gives up 1.36 DraftKings points per minute. Average salary, $8,900. He's $400 cheaper than his average salary. And his value is the 6th best on the card, 9.73 on average. And that's with a loss. 102 points when he wins, 5th highest on the card. Only gives up 56 points when he loses. Best number on the card. And when he lost, he scored 55 points in his loss. Highest number in a loss out of the 28 fighters fighting. Ferreira, 7,700 salary. Average numbers here. 3 DraftKings points per minute. Gives up 2.87. Blah, 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 blah. He is $200 less than his average salary. And you do actually get a decent value with Diego Ferreira. Just under 9. That is the 8th highest on the card. DraftKings points per win, 96. That is average. When he loses, he gives up 103. That is a huge number. So he scores okay, and he gives up a lot when he loses. Mateus scores 107.5 when he gets a knockout. 96, almost 97 when he gets a sub win. never been finished in the UFC, or in his career, I should say. In 20 fights, never been finished. Wow. Diego Ferreira scores 106 in a knockout, 114 when he gets a sub, and 73 when he wins by decision. When he gets knocked out, 120 points given up, 76 in decisions. Mateus has put up over 100 in one of his 2 wins. Ferreira, in his 8 wins, 5 of them have been over 90, 4 over 100, and 2 over 110. Meanwhile, he's given up over 110 twice and over 93 times. But when he loses, it's ugly. Pretty ugly. He gives up 55 bonus points when he loses. Scores 63 when he wins, though. Mateus over here, 80 points per win in bonus points. That is huge. Some of the best numbers on the card as far as stats go. I mean, he's killing the control time, killing the... Where's his takedowns? Where are they? 5.35 per 15 minutes. When I say Diego has been taken down, I mean, his strength of schedule is better. But Mateus has a decent strength of schedule as well. It's okay. It's not, it's a little less than decent. But these last 5 numbers are crazy compared to Ferreira. I mean, let's see these takedowns. I forgot what I tweeted. Ferreira's been taken down 9 times in his past 2 fights. And Mateus, 5.35 takedowns landed per 15 minutes. Yeah, that's how I see this one going. Trending way up is Mateus. Very even keel is Diego Ferreira, while his opponents trend up and are getting ever so close to catching him in raw DraftKings points per minute. Here are my projections. Pretty high for Mateus over here and pretty low for Ferreira. Even in a first-round finish win, only 97. You go to the visual statistical recap. Much better for Gamrot. Almost, in the winning categories. Look at these finish win percent. DraftKings points per win. Bonus points per win. Killing it right here. And then the aggregate finish percentages. And we will keep it moving. Like I said, I like Mateus in that one by finish. Ricky Simón going against Rafael Assuncao. Simón, 9,200. What do we get for that? 4.33 points per minute. Pretty good. A huge differential, so he's not giving up a ton of points. He is $600 more than his average salary, but you get a decent value for that. 9.64, 7th highest on the card. Averages triple digits when he wins. Gives up triple digits when he loses. Let's check out Assuncao. $7,000. Very low score. 2.33 per minute. When he wins, and this is 11 wins, he averages under 72 points per win. Gives up 86 points when he loses. You do get him at $900 cheaper than usual, but his average value is towards the bottom end of the card. Ricky Simón, when he wins by knockout, only 80 points. But when he wins by sub, 130. Decision, 96. So, split decision, 106. Wow. Gives up a lot when he gets beat by knockout, or when he gets knocked out, I should say. And not too many when he loses by decision. Assuncao, again, a very low number. What's with these guys and their low numbers when they get knockouts? These got to be the 2 lowest numbers on the whole card. 85. 99 in a sub, 76 in a decision, 45 in a split decision. So Assuncao, not what you would call a prolific DraftKings score. 7,000. You're probably not playing him a ton, but if you need, if you're looking for that last spot, I would think twice about playing Assuncao. He gives up a ton of points when he loses by sub, even by knockout, 95. Ricky Simón, 6 wins, 4 over 90, 3 over 100, and 1 over 110. He does give up points. Well, that's just 1 fight out of 2, I should say. Assuncao, look at this. 27% of his wins over 90. That's the 19th lowest number on the card, or 19th highest number on the card. Never scored over 100. This is incredible. 40% of his losses, his opponents have put up over 100. He's not scoring any points. None at all. He gives up a lot, though. Here are a few stats. Assuncao, the better striker, but Ricky Simón, you thought Mateus Gamrot takedowns per 15 were huge. 5.86 for Simón here. Even higher. But Assuncao's defense, 81.82%. That is damn good. So we'll see what happens here. But either way, I'm not playing Assuncao based on that. He just does not score well. Unless he has a Jose Aldo type of resurgence where all of a sudden he puts up a shitload of points when he usually doesn't, then yeah, I'm not playing him. So strength of schedule, pretty close, but Assuncao does have the edge. There are the stats. 3-2 for Simone in his last 5, 2-3 for Assuncao. Here are the last 5. Assuncao on a 3-fight losing streak. Lost to Gamrot, the one guy that lost to Gamrot in the past like 15,000 fights. Corey Sandhagen and Marlon Moraes, so not too bad. He also beat Rob Font, where Simone did lose to Rob Font. MMA math. Raw DraftKings points per minute. Opponents for Simone trending way down while he trends up. And much closer graphs for Assuncao. He is trending down while his opponents are trending up. Not what you want to see. Here are the projections. So whatever you think's going to happen, you go ahead and pick. And then the visual statistical recap. Much better winning numbers for Simon. In fact, Assuncao's only category is distance striking and just barely. And then last 5 strength of victory. And then the aggregate UFC and career finishing percentages. So pretty low, 57% in losses and 29% in wins. Even in the career totals, very low number here. Thinking this one probably goes the distance. Amanda Lemos going against Angela Hill. Lemos, the most expensive fighter on the card, $9,500. What do you get for $9,500? You get the second most raw DraftKings points per minute at over 5. Huge differential of 1.78. She is $1,400 more expensive than her average salary, but you get the second best value on the card for that price, 11.8. That is a huge number. When she wins, you get 111.69 points. And her one loss, she did give up a ton. She has the second highest ceiling, 7th highest floor. I mean, she's looking like a decent DraftKings play here. But again, I don't play a ton of the top salaried players ever. And that's not going to change here. I'm going to have 10%, 15% tops. Tops. Angela Hill. Cheapest fighter on the card, $6,700. She does get outworked. 2.96 DraftKings points per minute to 3. She is $1,500, almost $1,600 cheaper than her average salary. Average value is not great at 6.92. Only scores 82.89 points per win, gives up 91 per win. Has a terrible ceiling and a below average, or average floor, I should say. Scoring by method, Lemos scores 126 points when she wins by knockout, highest on the card. 103 when she wins by sub, and 91 when she wins by decision. Very good numbers. I'm starting to get mush-mouthed here. I think I'm getting tired. You'll have to excuse me. Also have a drinking problem, apparently. Angela Hill, much lower numbers. 97 when she wins by knockout, 78 when she wins by decision. Gives up a ton in subs, and almost 90 in decisions. Let's see, Lemos out of 4 fights has put up 90 in all of them. All of her wins. All 4 wins, I should say. 3 out of 100, or 3 out of 4, she scores over 100, and 2, she scores over 110. She gave up a ton when she lost. Angela Hill does not score points. 25% of her 8 wins, so 2 wins over 90, 2 wins over 100, and only 1 over 110. Meanwhile, 3 fights out of 10, she's given up over 100. 5 fights out of 10, she's given up over 90. Lemos, when she wins, 81.25 DraftKings points. Wow. Huge. When Angela Hill loses, 42 DraftKings points given up. But look at all these striking points she gives up. That is a ton. Statistically, Lemos, one of the higher ranked fighters on the card. Angela Hill, just average for the most part, a little above average. That's how the overall stats break down. Here are the last 5. Strength of schedule, it goes to Lemos again. Or still, I should say. Angela Hill, just not there. Her strength of victory is 50 in her last 5. She's gotten wins over Loma Lukbunmi and Ashley Yoder. That's it. Strength of defeat, not that great either. So Lemos has the advantage there. 4 of her past 5 fights have all finished. Trending way up is Amanda Lemos as far as raw DraftKings points per minute, while her opponents trend down. And then Angela Hill right where her opponents are, while she trends up ever so slightly, and her opponents a bit steeper than that. Projections. And then the DraftKings visual recap. I mean, look at Lemos dominating everywhere for the most part. I mean, in the winning numbers, in the average values, the win percentage, it's crazy. And then the finishing percentages. I believe I picked Lemos. I don't know how I picked her. If I picked her by knockout, I'm changing it to decision. That's how I see this one going. I mean, no one's ever knocked out Angela Hill. Well, I don't know. Maybe I should do a little more tape. Co-main event of the evening. Let's get this done in under an hour, boys and girls. Stephen Thompson going against Belal Muhammad. Stephen Thompson, 9,100. What do we get for that 5th highest salary? We get the 18th highest raw DraftKings points per minute rate on the card at 2.41. His opponents don't score very much on him, though. He is $600 higher than his average salary with the 11th highest value, only 8.31. 97.65 DraftKings points per win for Stephen Thompson. He hasn't finished a fight since Johnny Hendricks, February 2016. Just keep that in mind. Gives up only 81 when he loses. 7th highest ceiling on the card. I'm not sure how we got to there, but okay. Belal Muhammad scores much better than that, 3.27 per minute. He is $1,400 cheaper than his average salary, and his average value is not that much below Stephen Thompson. Positive raw DraftKings points per minute differential. When he wins, though, only 84 points in a win. When he loses, he only gives up 95. Ceiling towards the bottom of the card. Floor towards the bottom of the card. Let's see how they score by method. When Thompson scores a knockout, 116 points. Let's see I'm looking at something else. Thompson, when he wins by decision, 82. Does not give up a lot of points when he loses. Muhammad scores 103 when he wins by knockout, 84 by sub, and 83 when he wins by decision. So not a very high score there. Thompson, 63% of his 11 wins have gone over 90, 54 over 100, and 27 over 110. So a little bit better than I thought. Opponents have only scored 90 on him twice out of 5 losses. Never over 100. Muhammad, only 40%, 4 out of 10 wins have gone over 90. Once he scored over 100. And in his 3 losses, he's given up over 100 twice. I mean, Stephen Thompson, on average, when he wins, 55 bonus points. That's pretty good, actually. Why does he score so low all the time, then? How does that work? And then statistics. I mean, pretty even for the most part. I guess Muhammad definitely has the grappling, but you know that any fighter has the grappling over Stephen Thompson for the most part. He only controls 36.9% of his grappling time. He gets outstruck almost 2-1, or out grappled almost 2-1, I should say. And Belal lands more frequent than Thompson does, but he does get hit much more. Strength of schedule, much better for Stephen Thompson than Belal Muhammad. And then the last 5, 4-0 for Belal Muhammad with that one eye poke no contest being the 5th fight. And then Wonderboy 2-3 in his last 5, not looking great. He did get wins over Jeff Neal and Vicente Luque. I think this is going to be probably a boringish fight where neither winner scores a ton of points. That is how I see it. Definitely a decision fight. If this finishes, I'd be very surprised. Both Stephen Thompson and his opponents trending up, while Belal Muhammad and his opponents are trending down. Decision time, or projection time, 75 points for both of these guys. 74, 75. Nothing to write home about. Like I said, I'm not expecting to finish here. I don't think Belal's getting knocked out, and I don't think Belal's going to knock out Stephen Thompson. I think it's going to be a very low volume striking affair. Not very low, but lower to mid volume striking affair. And I think it goes the distance, and I am actually picking Muhammad to win. I did spell his name wrong incorrectly here, so I will fix that. Sorry, Belal. His fucking nickname's Remember the Name, and I fucking misspelled it. You guys should just turn this off right now. Insert sad music. Insert raindrops. Insert a cloud coming over my head. Anyways. So yeah, lots of real estate here for Thompson. You guys get to like my bald spot. I shaved it just for you. I'm losing my mind here. We got one fight left. So yeah, I'm picking Belal Muhammad by decision. Nobody in that fight is going to score a ton of points. Derrick Lewis, the main event of the evening. Derrick Lewis going against Chris Daukaus. I'm picking Daukaus here by knockout. Third round knockout. I think that's what I picked. Anyways, let's get into it. Derrick Lewis, 7,900. For that, you get the lowest raw DraftKings points per minute on the card for the most part. 22 out of 22 ranked fighters. You have to overpay. You have to pay, $200 more than Derrick Lewis's average salary. You get below average value at 7.78. You get less than 81 DraftKings points scored per win, the 19th lowest on the card. Gives up less than 100 when he wins or when he loses. Very low ceiling. The lowest floor on the card, the absolute lowest. So, I mean, at least you're not paying up for him, but 79 is still too expensive in my opinion. But if you're thinking that's too expensive for Derrick Lewis, on the flip side, that's a fucking great value for Chris Daukaus, baby. A great value. $8,300. What do you get for $8,300? Well, guys, you get the highest raw DraftKings points per minute on the card at 8.45. He gives up only 1.44 per minute. That is a differential of 7. You get, you're only paying $300 more for Chris Daukaus than you average, than he's averaged to be worth on DraftKings. Average value, highest on the card, 14.93. You get an average of 119.8 points per win. I mean, these are number one in every single category for $8,300. Let's see. When Derrick Lewis wins by knockout, only 92 points. That's it. When he wins by decision, 39 points. I mean, how is that even possible? Chris Daukaus, 119.8 when he wins by knockout. All 4 wins have been by knockout. I mean, Lewis has given up over 90 in 4 of 6 losses, over 103 losses, and over 110 in those same 3 losses. Meanwhile, Daukaus has put up over 110 in 2 of his wins. I mean, bonus points off the charts, almost. I shouldn't say that because sometimes they are literally off the charts. 91.25 for Daukaus. Striking points, 23.5. Derrick Lewis has given up 68 bonus points when he loses. I mean, Derrick Lewis's statistics are, spoiler alert, not great. His striking is okay, but it's the knockout. It's the knockout the knockdowns per 15 minutes is what gives him this number right here. But he's only landing 2.49 strikes per minute. His striking defense is terrible. Striking against is pretty good. Takedown game is average. I mean, Chris Daukaus only 4 fights, but his takedown defense is perfect so far. I mean, I know it's not a ton that he's been going up against, but still. Strength of schedule is very good for Derrick Lewis. That's the one thing he has going for him in this fight. But Chris Daukaus is not terrible. I mean, we're right where we need to be. 70 to 75%. That's not trash at all. That is average to above average. Derrick Lewis, 4-1 in his last 5. His last 5 stats are atrocious, especially compared to Chris Daukaus, who has a 64.59 ass whoop index, a 4.92 power index, perfect chin index. Derrick Lewis has not been knocked down at all in his past 5, which does bode well. But otherwise, it's just, I mean, in his last 5, he hasn't landed more than 35 significant strikes. I mean, we're at 7 against Curtis Blades, and that's all it took, but still. I'm expecting Daukaus to be too quick. I'm expecting him to throw to the body, and pretty much the gone game plan here. I'm expecting this to end with Daukaus holding Lewis up against the fence and just like beating him till the ref stops it. That's it. With Lewis turtling up and Daukaus beating him till the ref stops it. Oh, but all Lewis has to do is land 1 strike. Yeah, I've heard that in how many? Let's see, 22 UFC fights. I know how it works. He also has 6 losses. And his most recent one was to a guy that was much quicker than he was. And that's exactly what we're going up against here. It definitely could happen. Lewis could easily knock out Daukaus. Daukaus has been knocked out twice in his career. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Could I be wrong? Yes, obviously. I mean, look at this graph here. Look at this graph. It's not even touching his opponents, while Derrick Lewis is trending down just barely. Here are my projections. Huge numbers. 5 rounds worth of projections here. In case we don't have anything blacked out anymore. Huge real estate for Daukaus. I mean, look at this graph. Look at that graph. Look at this fucking graph right here. Gigantic. All for Daukaus. Huge finishing numbers. I'm picking Daukaus inside the distance. All right, guys. We did it. We made it. And before I go, I actually want to show you something. Let me switch back. Just like I promised. Here are my picks. Daukaus by 3rd round TKO. Muhammad split decision. Blah, 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 blah. Hill. I picked Lemos by 1st round TKO. I think I'm going to change that to decision. I'm going to do a little bit more research, but I think this one's going to get changed to a decision before I post it. Everything else I like. I'm picking a lot of dogs because fuck it, it's the last fight card of the year, and a lot of these lines are way too close for me. So, yeah. Here is my DraftKings Holy Grail, guys. Everything we pretty much just talked about, but in chart form. I will be posting this on Twitter later today. I always just want to put it out on my video first. So I will be posting this on Twitter later. Just tells you all the most pertinent information, odds, salaries, values, my projection, and then all of the stats right here, you know. Whoops. There we go. DraftKings scoring history by category, all kinds of stuff. What they score when they win, what their opponents score when they lose, blah, 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 blah. And then we can even scroll down to my cores. Just a couple of options here for you guys with the salaries. Some cheaper cores this week. Daukaus, Mateus Gamrot, and Macy Chiasson. And then Amanda Lemos, Darren Elkins, and Josh Parisian. Those will probably change, especially this one here, because I'm going to pick Lemos to win by decision instead, as I said. Fading, Stephen Thompson, like I said, hasn't won by a finish since February of 2016, and Bilal does not give up a ton of points. Raquel Pennington averages less than 80 DraftKings points in her last 3 wins. Only 2 wins over 100 points. Derrick Lewis, we talked about that. 80 points per win in the UFC. Second lowest raw DraftKings points per win on the card at 1.81. And then Andre Ewell. Only 2.05 DraftKings points per minute. And he scores less than 68 DraftKings points in his wins. And that's 4 fights. If you want somebody in that range, pick Bilal over Andre and save money. That's what I say. Justin Tafa, this is an example of my lineup. Justin Tafa, easiest opponent to date. Hunsucker, been KO'd 4 times, all in round 1. Looking for an early finish. Gerald Meerschaert, thinking GM3 keeps it rolling here. Has scored over 110 in 4 of 8 wins. Decent RDKP per minute. Ferreira has allowed 9 takedowns in his past 2 fights, and Gamrot scores a huge 4.44 points per minute. Daukaus should employ the Gone game plan, prolific DK scorer. Elkins, I think, is a decent option at the price range. Very high numbers when he wins. 48% to win is good enough at around 7.5K. And then Muhammad, like I said, 50-50 fight, in my opinion. I'll take the consistency. If I need to, should get, 80 or so points with that win. There it is, guys. There it is. We did it. We made it through all the DraftKings information. You are now set and ready to go to make your lineups. Be sure to pick who you think's going to win. Be sure you pick who you think's going to win inside the distance. And then the rest should just fall into place. Mix up those bottom salary guys a little bit. Keep Angela Hill and Harry Hunsucker and probably Assuncao out of it, and Ewell. But other than that, mix and match, baby. Let's stack these up, and let's get some takedowns this week, all right? That would be nice. It'd be nice for me, too. I'd like to get one as well. So anyways, thanks a ton for joining me. This will be the last DraftKings specifically DraftKings fight video for 4 weeks. We're 4 weeks off. So in that time, I am going to be overhauling the channel, kind of redesigning how, the look of everything, new stats. I'm actually working on tons of DraftKings lineup history, optimal lineup history. I'm going to have a ton of stats for that. Should I even show you? No, I'm not going to show that yet. It's not ready. But I have so many more things coming. Historical, probabilities, all that stuff. So all to help you guys win money in your contest. So look forward to that. Thanks again for joining me. Have a wonderful and safe holiday, guys. And we will catch you on the next one. Peace out.